Okay, so welcome everybody to the first session of our 5-day seminar, Giving and Accepting Shelter, the foundation of Vaishnava relationships and devotee care. Okay, so before we start, let me see who needs Russian translation. You ask in Russian because when I ask in English, people don't understand. Перевод нужно сюда. Everybody who needs translation, please go in that corner. And those who don't need translation, just move a little away there, so there's room for those who need translation. Right? Also, yeah, you might not want to hear two languages there. You know, one ear English, one ear Russian. So, I mean, we could actually spread out this mat and people move a little corner or something if it's too cramped there. We just didn't know how many people will come and so on. Okay? Yes, so let us pass out the materials. Let us see if we have enough materials. We have printed 20 English, 10 Russian. If that's not enough, we can print more for tomorrow. It was just hard for us to guess how many people come, because not so many people registered. And so then it's always a bit of a gamble, you know, how many materials. We didn't want to print out too many, you know. So, but if somebody will not get materials, then we can also print them again for tomorrow. And then tomorrow you get today's materials and tomorrow's materials. Okay? So, English, yes. Maybe looks to me like we might have enough for everybody.
First of all,
sorry?
First of all, I would like to know whether it is the first day of the seminar or...
Yes, it is. Yes, today is the first day. I am actually planning to give 4 courses.
Okay.
And all the courses are Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Every day 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
You understand? So this is the first course of the whole series. Okay? Yeah, maybe yes, but there might be some people coming late. Some people rang, oh, I have a meeting till 4, can I come later? So whatever materials we have left, we might need them later. Since there is a few people, I think, who I have not met before, I will just briefly introduce myself. So my name is Devaki. I'm originally German, but I left Germany already in 1984, so that's 32 years ago. And I traveled the world looking for the medicine which gives real happiness. I was working in the medical professions before, and I realized my treatments cannot really give people real happiness. So then in Australia, I met the devotees in 85, and just 3-4 days after meeting them, after reading Bhagavad Gita, I immediately joined the women's ashram. And I was 4 years in the women's ashram in Sydney. Actually, Shashini Mataji and myself, we were joining around the same time, you know, and we were brahmacharis together, and yes. So then I was in the ashram for about 4 years, getting training on all the basic things. Then I was married for 10 years, and during that time we went, just 3 months after getting married, we ventured all the way to Latvia, which is the former Soviet Union, it's the Baltic countries. And we, by Krishna's arrangement, unknowingly, we kind of started the first more organized temple there, actually. which was a very wonderful and adventurous experience. We had about 75 brahmacharis and 30 brahmacharinis, and wow, it was a whole dynamic setup there. Because in those days the borders were all open, and people came from all over former Soviet Union. They came, they heard, oh, there's some devotees from Australia, so everybody came. And yeah, it was a really adventurous pioneer experience. So then in 1999, my husband decided to take a break from Krishna consciousness, and these things do happen. He went back to Australia, married a non-devotee, and even today he's not really connected with Krishna consciousness anymore. So, and of course, these things are sad when they happen, but nevertheless, I thought, all right, let me turn the calamity into an opportunity. And I moved on. I thought, all right, let me move into the renounced phase of life. So I did not look all my life like this. I was having earrings and bangles and nose ring, and Mataji can verify this. Actually, and Krishnaki Mataji also, she was also around in those days. Yeah, so, but then I moved on to the renounced phase of life. I was 40 at the time, so it was maybe a little early, but nevertheless for me it felt really natural actually. So and since 1999, I'm basically living the life of a traveling preacher. I spent 6 months in Europe, 6 months in this part of the world. When I'm here, I'm mainly in Bangladesh and also in India now more. When I'm in Europe, I spend a lot of time in Ukraine and Moldova. Actually, Ukraine and Bangladesh were my first places where I started teaching, traveling. Narendra Swami invited me to come to Ukraine. And now I'm gradually more and more visiting also the neighboring countries like Italy and Croatia, Slovenia, Switzerland, Germany. Also now, after the last 3-4 years, I also spent some time in Germany, Sweden, so many little places there. So my main two convictions are, first of all, the holy name, getting on deeper levels of chanting. I very strongly feel this for this mission. That's why in many countries I conduct some holy name retreats. We had one just last week in Ekachakra. And yeah, because I strongly feel, we often take this chanting too lightly, we just wander around and nish nish ram ram, and we think this is chanting. But actually there's so many deep secrets to this art of chanting, and one actually has to constantly endeavor to get on deeper levels, otherwise very easily we lose taste and interest, and we stop chanting. This happens quite a lot, more than we might think. Yes, so that's why I like to concentrate on that. So, and then my second conviction is really spiritual culture. Because for 15 years I have spent considerable time in Bangladesh. For those who don't know, Bangladesh is the country to get insights into Vaishnava culture. It's East Bengal. Most of our, of the eternal associates of the Lord, they come from that part of Bengal. Rupa, Sanatana Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Mukunda Datta, Vasudeva Datta. And the list is really long. And it's not that I'm promoting, Islam or something. One has to be careful these days. But because it is a Muslim country, that's actually what protected the culture. Because the Muslims are not so in favor of all these modern Kali Yuga ideas. And that's what really protected the culture there. It's indeed like a different planet. When I come from Bangladesh to Mayapur, I do feel like coming to the West. Yes. But when our Bangladeshi boys, they go on a trip around South India, when I ask them, so how was your trip to India, they say, well, it was all right, but I wouldn't want to live there too Western mentality. That's what they say. Yes, yes. Of course, a few are very much attracted to the Western mentality, but many are not, and they really like to stay here, yes. So, and over the 15 years when I'm there, I'm only with the locals. There's no Western devotees there. Only with the locals. I travel with them, I live with them, I eat with them, I preach with them. And over the years, I got so many insights into the universal principles of spiritual culture. And I actually received a whole transformation. Yeah. It took me quite a few years, and I'm still working at it. So, but really, this is what Krishna consciousness is actually meant to bring about. We are meant to transform. Our likes, our dislikes, tastes, behaviors, worldview, ultimately the heart. We are meant to transform. We are not meant to leave it as it is. Yeah, so, and, then gradually, this naturally influenced my preaching and the topics. Until a few years ago, I started putting very systematic courses together, and we even established an institute for spiritual culture, because it really requires systematic training and education, actually. Yes. So now today's topic. I better get my materials out. Today's topic is actually a wonderful introduction into this topic of culture. We will realize this already shortly. And that's why I always like to start with this topic of giving and accepting shelter. In a nutshell, in spiritual culture, it's the most natural thing. It's the foundation of any more meaningful relationship. Is giving and accepting shelter. Somebody gives shelter, somebody accepts shelter. It's very natural. But in materialistic culture, it's not. Nobody wants to take shelter. Nobody wants to give shelter. Yes. So we will realize this. Whenever I put something on, some courses, seminars, it's very systematically building up. Yeah, that's how my mind and intelligence works. I like to systematically churn a topic, and get into a deeper understanding there, and also stimulate a little bit of transformation. I don't like to just give some spiritual entertainment here or something. No, I want to try and move things a little bit there in the heart. And stimulate and give some food for thought, and so that's kind of, and what we are anticipating. We didn't print enough materials, but if you come back tomorrow, you will get them from today. It was just difficult for us to estimate how many people come. And maybe you won't even be all back tomorrow. Let us see. So, yes, like if are you belonging to one family? Yes, maybe you could share, with somebody here. Yes, and at least we have one in each family here or something. Or do we have some Russian ones left? No. Okay, well we printed 10 Russian, 20 English, and it's not enough, so that's good. It's a good sign. We are happy about that. And we will print more for tomorrow, and you will get them afterwards. Yes. And my humble request, please take some notes. Because if you take notes, you can share this in your home temples. You can look at it. It's all pretty deep stuff. And if you don't, our Kali Yuga memory, how much can we remember? It goes in one ear out the other. So please take some notes, and then you will get something more out of it. You need a pen or something, is it? Yeah, see, whenever you go somewhere, you always take pen and paper along.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so today and half of tomorrow, I want to make a humble attempt to convince my audience here of the urgent need and importance of these two principles of giving and accepting shelter. Yes, first of all, we have to deeply understand why is this so important. And actually this topic of shelter, this is the very essence of spiritual life. It accompanies us throughout our whole spiritual life. It's all about taking shelter of Krishna, of His holy name, of Prabhupada, of Guru, and of the devotees. So it's really a fundamental topic of spiritual practice. And it's worthwhile getting some deep understanding on it. Right? Yes, very worthwhile. Otherwise, and I have observed this so much, I'm the kind of person I always like to analyze and observe and what's missing there and getting to the roots of things. And I have observed that unless we clearly establish and teach and preach about this importance of taking shelter, very easily we are only taking shelter in name only. It is some external formality. But within the heart we don't. We don't take shelter. And we don't even realize. We don't notice. You know? Yes. Yes. So that's why, you know, we want to systematically discover this topic of taking shelter and giving shelter. Because in giving shelter is also the natural progression of spiritual practice, that we will discover this. That sooner or later we should come to the point where we give shelter also. It's the most natural thing in spiritual development. But yet, you know, because we are conditioned by this certain other mood and worldview, it is often not so natural for us. The same. Yes. And then we will discuss the necessary qualities in order to be eager for shelter. That comes on the third day, Wednesday. Then the qualities which we need to have in order to give shelter. Super important. You know, this gives some target for more senior devotees to work to. You know, I have given the seminar in many yashas actually, Radadesh and Vrindavan, so many places in Europe. Also a few years ago I gave it here in Mayapur in the Prabhupada Samadhi, and I tricked everybody by serving some pizza afterwards. And the trick really worked. I did it over 4 Sundays while I was studying Bhakti Shastra. I thought I have to offer some service here to the community. And the trick worked. I had about 100 people there every single Sunday, you know. And they were polite enough not to just come for the pizza, but they were actually there throughout the whole seminar, you know. Yes. Yes, and it did bring up some, you know, food for thought. People were talking, but then it was not really taken further. You know, it is actually a topic which ideally should be taken further in order to put it into practice, to apply it. Anyway, so we have quite a few topics here ahead of us in this week, very systematic. So today, let us simply introduce the topic, and I want to analyze from several points why this taking shelter is so super important. Yes. So just to begin with, let me share a little realization. And actually the way I usually work is that I make a few points and then I do sometimes stop for discussion. So don't worry, it's not that I'm going to talk here for 3 hours. And if you like, we can also have a 10-minute break in between, just to stretch arms and legs and go to the bathroom or something. So to begin with, I'd like to share this realization, which I'm sure many of you also have, especially once you're a little longer around in Krishna consciousness, let's say 15, 20, 25, 30 years or something. We have this certain phenomena in ISKCON that so many people come, they hang around for a while, but then somehow that many of them tend to fade away. Right? Yes, they fade away. Yes. Sometimes it's like that when you visit a temple 15 or 20 years later, the only personalities you know are the deities. Yes. I mean, I had that experience. Yes, Shashni Mataji understands. Yeah, I mean, this happened to me some years ago when I was visiting, Australia. It's not that it's only in Australia, it's everywhere. But I was visiting there doing some medical treatments, and I was very excited. Oh, let's see who I will meet there for my old friends. I was super excited. And I was anxiously waiting for the first Sunday program. But, I hardly met anybody there. I knew maybe 2-3 people, but that was it. And then I thought, oh, surely everybody will be there when some gurus come. But, well, so many gurus came, Devaki Maharaj, Pataka Maharaj, Padambakana Swami, they all came. But again, well, where is everybody from 25 years ago? And then I thought, surely they would come for Janmashtami. But then, so nothing happened. Where is everybody? And this didn't give me any peace of mind. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. What is going on here? What are we doing wrong? What is happening? Why is this going on? And really, it's not just in Australia. There, for me, it was just very, obvious, because I had joined there and I had spent my childhood in Krishna consciousness, so to speak, my brahmacharini days, and it was such a wonderful, dynamic time there. And it was really such an eye-opener that I thought, my God, we must be doing something wrong here. And the thought just wouldn't let me go, And then shortly after, I joined the GBC Strategic Planning, the Devotee Care Committee. And interestingly enough, how this Devotee Care Committee came about, it was actually initially a preaching committee. And in this preaching committee was 2 moods. Mood number 1 was, let's reach out and bring new people. We have to make new devotees. But then the second mood was, hang on a minute, where are all the old devotees? What happened to that? What's the use of making new devotees if for some reason we can't manage to keep people enthusiastic and inspired for their whole lifetime actively in Krishna consciousness? What's the bloody use, as they say in Australia? Yes. And then this preaching committee actually turned into a devotee care committee. That's how the whole the concept of devotee care evolved through that realization. What happened to all the old devotees? Where are they? Wouldn't it be more important to reach out to them and nourish them and rather than just bringing new people in? Yes. So and then for quite a few years, 2-3 years, there was only devotee care committee, and then they started a new committee, the outreach committee. Yes. So So that's how this whole topic of devotee care became a prominent and relevant issue and term. Yes, so basically we can already conclude that the bhakti lata needs ongoing nourishment. It's not just enough to make a person into a devotee, because that's often, the attitude we have. While a person has not yet joined, we reach out to him, we are so nice to him, we try and take care of him in a very personal way, but then as soon as he joins, oh well, now he is one of our people, and we stop this mood of caring. And we think, so now he's a devotee or she, and then the demands come, so do service, this, that, and very often we forget how much care and attention and nourishment the bhakti lata actually needs ongoingly. And Rupa Goswami says this. He says that a devotee has to become an expert gardener. It's not just enough to plant the seed and throw a bucket of water on it every now and again. There has to be some ongoing caring and cultivation. And this is ongoing, not just as a young bhakta or something, but ongoing, because it is a whole transformational, dynamic process. And in order to really harvest one day the fruit of pure bhakti, it needs ongoing nourishment. Spiritual life is ever increasing. We never come to a stage where we say, so now I know it and now I've got it all down. No, it's ongoing. And that understanding is not so clear in everyone's mind. Let's put it that way. But I hope this course will be a little bit of an eye-opener to everybody who decides to attend it in full. Okay. So now, so much as a little introduction, let us move on to where those who have received, establishing the need for giving and accepting shelter. So I would like to start with this nice verse by Jiva Goswami in Madhava Mahotsava. Though one usually ignores others in attaining one's goals, those aspiring for prema accept dependence on others with similar goals and tastes. Thus, cooperating with each other, they worked together, keeping in mind the goal of prema. So this is already a very significant verse here. So what is Jiva Goswami saying? He's talking about two kinds of people. Who can say? I do like to be a little interactive, but please do me a favor, lift your hand if you want to say something. Don't just shout out, otherwise I can't hear anything if 5 people speak at the same time. And also often the same people always say something, those who are the fastest and loudest. So just to give a little bit of opportunity for people to make a contribution, please lift your hand. So what is Jiva Goswami saying? He's talking about 2 different kinds of persons.
So those who are ignoring others and achieving their goals would be materialists.
Very true.
And those taking the shelter of each other and supporting each other would be devotees.
Very true. So here already we get insights that it is a matter of culture, right? Jiva Goswami talks about 2 kinds of persons. Though one usually ignores others in attaining one's goals, that's often obviously the materialist, just striving, to meet his goals there and ignoring others. We will get more deeper into it in a minute. And then those aspiring for prema, They have a completely different mood. They accept dependence on others with similar goals and tastes. Yes, in other words, yes, they are developing sheltering relationships. That's what it means, you know? And thus, cooperating with each other, they work together, keeping in mind the goal of prema. So there already Jiva Goswami, even in those days, 500 years ago, one could clearly, discriminate between these two moods. It's not only here in Kali Yuga or something. Materialists always had that mood of ignoring others and trying to become successful, right? Even in those days. Now, of course, much more fierce. There's so much more competition and yeah. So that already leads us to this discussion of let us have a look in materialistic culture, meaning where sense gratification is the goal of life. This is what materialistic life and its culture is all about. So in such a society where sense gratification is the goal of life, relationships are characterized by what? What are the characteristics of relationships wherever sense gratification is the goal in life? What's the mood there?
Trying to have your self-interest going forward.
Yes, completely selfish. Completely selfish. And sense gratification being the goal of life, what does that bring about immediately? Whenever there's sense gratification as the goal, what comes? Passion, yes. Envy, that's what I was looking for. Envy and competition, right? Because everybody is striving to win the race there for sense gratification. And therefore people don't only ignore each other, as Jiva Goswami says, but no, even much more than that. You push each other out of the way. The survival of the fittest. Whoever has the strongest elbows gets up there, Even by standing on each other's heads and, pushing each other down, you get up there. That's the mood, right? What else? There's a few more very specific characteristics. What are relationships? Lust and greed, yes, that's always there, whenever sense gratification is the goal.
Exploitation
always comes along with. What else? There's something a little slightly different nature. These are always all results of sense gratification. But what else is there? What else? Between two people, what's the mood in relationships? Huh? Yeah, well, we said that already. Greed, yes, but what else? Quarrel, yes. What else?
Once the selfish interest is over, then the relationship doesn't have any meaning.
Very true. So basically the relationship, it's just what he said, once the selfish interest is met, the relationship is over. So relationships are simply based on sense gratification. It's a business deal. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And as long as you satisfy my senses, gross or subtle, you're my friend. If somebody else comes along who can do it better, then he is the one. Right? That's the typical mood in relationships and material life, materialistic life. So therefore, relationships are, what?
Temporary.
Temporary. Not only that, they're very superficial, external, very superficial. It's all just sense gratification. Right? Yes. Let me see what else I have here. And yes, what else is there? in comparison to spiritual relationships.
В материалистической культуре самое главное на уровне закона искусства отношений, неуважение, не могут строить отношения с старшими, равными и младшими.
In the materialistic culture, the people cannot develop relationships with elder people, with the similar age and younger people.
Yes. Why? Почему?
Почему? А так как нет уважения, нет знаний, нет уважения.
There's no knowledge how to do it and no respect.
That's what I was looking for. No respect. Yes. No respect. Because people simply use each other for sense gratification. You know? There's no genuine respect. Yes. And therefore, no service mood. It's all what can I get for myself, not what can I give to others. It's very self-centered. No service mood towards others, no respect. That's, you know, a few of the main criteria there, you know. Yeah, and also everyone is so busy with their own schedule. You know, it's just me and my program, and people don't have time for others. Huh? I'm busy. You know, everybody's just, you know, trying to get their agendas done. And there's not really, you know, time and care for others. You know? Yes. And, you know, the propaganda is, you know, separatism, individualism, you know, self-made man, I can do it. Strong emphasis on separatism, individualism. Material life brings that along because it increases subtle body of false ego. I'm so special and unique, and look at me, and I'm the center, and. So, yes, and all up we can say relationships are rather impersonal, right? Especially in these modern days of technology, relationships become more and more impersonal. Very strongly, especially in the cities, people don't even know their next door neighbor anymore, you know, and people don't greet each other, and you know, very impersonal. Yes. Yes, so these are basically the main points. Let me quickly. Another thing is, it's very much connected with the general standard of life. As soon as the standard of life is higher, meaning people have more money in the pocket, that immediately moves sense gratification as the main goal, right? And the higher standard of life gives people that illusory understanding of freedom, you know, of independence. They think money is the security, not relationships, right? Right? Clear? Yeah? Yes. Whereas in other countries where life is more simple, I spend a lot of time in those countries, Ukraine, Bangladesh, pretty simple there. People don't have the money in the pocket to make sense gratification the goal of life, you know. And in such countries, so much easier to realize that we are dependent on each other. You know, that if you have friends and you help each other, you get further in life. Much easier to realize when there's not so much money around. The standard of life is not so high. Yes, right? So all those countries where the standard of life is higher, as a result we can detect more impersonalism there, because people are all in this independent mood. You know, and it starts in the family. You know, in wealthy countries, even the kids, they all have their own television in their room. They can't even cooperate anymore to watch the same program or something. You know, and all this independence there, you know, and as soon as the kids are 16, 18, they move out of the house, they get their own place, there's that, they don't want to live with the old folks there with the parents, you know, so this is what wealth very easily leads to, this illusory understanding of freedom and independence, per se. And it doesn't do the human being any good, you know, and as a result of that people get lonely. But that's a different topic. So in any case, yeah, these are basically the characteristics of relationships in highly materialistic culture. So now let us move to spiritual culture, meaning in a society where self-realization is the goal. How are the relationships there characterized? What are the criteria there? All we have to do is take the opposite of what we just collected, basically. So quickly, let's...
Cooperation.
Cooperation. What else? Huh?
Selflessness.
Yes, selflessness. Because there is the mood of service there to others, there's the mood of respect. Of course, to be really truly selfless, one has to also practice Krishna consciousness. But yes, well, in a culture where self-realization is the goal, at least people strive for this. They strive for selfless service to others. Yes, what else?
Dependency on relationship, they don't try to find things outside the relationship.
Yes. So it's a strong dependence on relationships, as Jiva Goswami says, with those, dependence on those with similar goals and tastes. Right? Yes. So, and what else is there? Yes?
We get pleasure by pleasing others, by pleasing Krishna.
Yes, this is all part of the selfless service mood, yes.
They keep Krishna in center whenever they do everything.
Yes, Krishna is in the center and everybody is serving each other to help each other get closer to Krishna. In fact, you know, the seniors very naturally reach out to the juniors in affection to uplift them and give guidance. It's a very natural thing in spiritual culture because there's that respect coming from both sides. Not only juniors respecting seniors, but also seniors have genuine respect for the juniors. You know, that they see them as spirit souls, struggling sadhakas, and they actually want to share, they want to uplift in affection. And the juniors, they offer service and they inquire to the seniors. They want to learn from them. It's a very natural, you know, exchange between the generations. Yeah. And of course, you know, because there's respect, service, mood, the basis is humility. You know? Humility, and we have some idea of actually feeling dependent, feeling hopelessly dependent. Yes, we will get to this a little later too. And actually, as we become purified, the more we make progress and advancement, the more we realize that we are actually hopelessly dependent on the mercy of the Vaishnavas, of Gurus, of Prabhupada, of Krishna, and that. You know? So this helplessness, very important quality, whereas in materialistic culture, helplessness is seen to be a weakness. Nobody is striving for becoming helpless, right? It's not a quality people strive for. That's how opposite, you know, the two worldviews and goals and attitudes and you know, material life so opposite than to spiritual life. Yeah, so and therefore, the relationships are not superficial, but what are they?
Sincere, genuine.
Yes, they're genuine, they're deep and meaningful. You know, we don't just exchange them cheaply, or now somebody else comes along who, you know, gives me more gratification here. and the old friend is, tipped off there. But no, they're deep and meaningful. Yes. They're lifelong there, they're deep and meaningful. And based on respect and service. These are the main basic things. So, already being clear in that, how the relationships are so different in these two cultures, that already makes it pretty clear, because most of us do come from a materialistic background, right? We carry some certain conditioning there with us. And, wherever we might be living, we are actually bombarded, we are surrounded by all this materialistic mood and propaganda and. So obviously, not so easy for us to, get rid of this luggage there and actually transform and develop different patterns of behavior in our relationships. Not so easy, it doesn't happen by itself. One actually has to consciously work on this and become aware of these things. Like Krishna Prabhupada was always saying, before becoming Krishna conscious, we have to become conscious first. Very often we are not even conscious of these things. Not at all. So yeah, the day-to-day is basically meant to become conscious of this need for this giving and accepting shelter. Here in the Garuda Purana, there is a nice verse which says, one cannot be liberated without association with the pure devotee of the Lord. We have all heard that many times. But now, and unless one shows mercy to those in an inferior position, one's life will be superficial. Wow, that is a good one. I really like that one. It is very clear, it is expressed here, unless we actually come to this point where we actually want to reach out to juniors, where we want to sacrifice our time and energy for them, our life is then superficial. Yes, it is. Let's be clear on it. Why is it superficial? Why is it superficial?
Because we're still selfish.
Yes, we will only think of I, me, and mine. Yes. There is such thing as selfishness even in Krishna consciousness. My sadhana, my chanting time, my reading time, my service, my project, my trip to Mayapur and wherever. My. It's still selfishness. Even though, alright, it's employed in Krishna consciousness, thank God, but it is still selfishness. It is. That's what one learns when one becomes a grihastha, actually, especially when one has children. That teaches us to be a little more selfless. We have to at least care for our children, which is also extended for its ego, but nevertheless it's almost Krishna tricksing us, That, all right, it's still extended for its ego, my children, my wife, my husband, but at least we have to be a little selfless. We have to put ourselves on the back burner. That's the valuable lesson we learn to become mother. It's the easiest and most direct and immediate way to learn to become humble servant. Because as mother, you have to serve 24 hours a day, whether you like it or not. In the middle of the night, the baby cries, this, that. Yeah, you have to. And as why I said, Krishna tricks us because there's an emotional attachment there. And by doing that service within Krishna consciousness, that's how we become purified. If we only do that service without Krishna consciousness, then it's just emotional attachment there. But playing that role in Krishna consciousness, with good chanting, with hearing, that's how we become purified. Yes, it's a whole thing. In any case, yes, unless we come to this position where we want to reach out to inferiors, our life is superficial. Not only our life, our relationships are superficial. They are. I like to call them Haribo relationships. Right? Yeah, you can understand what that means, Haribo relationships. Haribo, oh nice to see you, how are you, Haribo? And that's it. Yeah? Nothing more than that. I'm sure we all have plenty of Haribo relationships in our life. Yes, so this is interesting to understand that, as we said, in materialistic culture, the basis of relationships is sense gratification. So now when we come to Krishna consciousness, we don't want this anymore, right? We kind of kick it out of our life. But unless we replace it with giving and accepting shelter, there is some vacuum there, right? It is hollow. Something is missing. You can understand what I'm saying? Yes. I have observed this. Because I'm traveling and preaching, I visit so many places, I'm always looking, analyzing, trying to understand what is going on here, what is missing. I see it so many times, even in our temples, and I'm not saying this to criticize, my God, I really don't, but we have to make the diagnose, we have to be clear, what is going on, and often I see this, nice yatras, fantastic facility, but everybody just sits in their rooms, in the temple, and comes out, does their service, puja, whatever it may be, boom, back in their rooms, door shut, And the atmosphere is really weird. Sorry to say, it's weird. It's really impersonal and dry, and you start thinking, God, what's going on here, And no relationships, just, can you do the puja, can you do the dressing, can you do the cooking, who's cooking lunch tomorrow, and all around service, very nice, should be like that. Of course, no room for any kind of sense gratification, you don't want that. But we have to put something on its place. And that's exactly what we have to put, is giving and accepting shelter. If that is not there, the relationships are impersonal and weird, and just everybody is busy with their own schedule, so busy, And usually I always observe this, the phenomena is like this, that people come and think, wow, what a nice place, I'm going to stay here. And then after 6 months, they're moving on, going somewhere else. They just feel like hired hands. Nobody actually cares about me as a devotee. Everybody's just looking, what kind of service can we give him. There's a cook walking in the door. There's somebody walking in the door who can be in the garden. Often we have these views, and then after 6 months, people think, okay, I think I had enough of this. I want to go somewhere else. Yes, this is going on in a lot of places, and I always can see, yes, what is missing is this giving and accepting each other. That's what makes the relationships deep and meaningful, that the seniors affectionately reach out, They give some nourishment, some care, and the juniors inquire from the seniors. They offer some service in respect. They want to learn something from those who have more experience. But if that is not there, it just becomes dry and weird and impersonal. And this is a problem we're facing in a lot of temples. It really is. Few other little things, and then I'll ask for questions. As we go through different phases of life, we face always new challenges, right? Let's say young fellow joins the ashram, becomes a bhakta. So then he becomes a brahmachari. So then he might want to enter grihastha life. Wow, new challenge. Then he becomes father. Ooh, new challenge. So then the kids become teenagers. Wow, again, new challenge. Then maybe, children are grown up out of the house. Well, we should be moving on to the renounced phase of life, vanaprastha. Again, new challenge. Some even might want to take sannyas, become guru. New challenge. So there's always so many challenges there which we naturally meet when we go through life. And there's always somebody there who has already more experience meeting that challenge than we have. Right? So it makes only sense that we ask for guidance, from that person who's got more experience with the same challenge which we are now facing. It makes only sense. In fact, we could save ourselves so many difficulties if we would just ask more for advice. Yes, I'm always thinking this, We have to, it seems like so often we have to go through the school of hard knocks, We have to experience it all ourselves. Well, this is third-class intelligence, But first class is, we hear, we ask for advice, for guidance. And not just trying to work it out all ourselves, and everywhere we repeat the same mistakes again and again. No need. If we would just be willing to ask for guidance. If we would have this sheltering relationships. That's the point. Also, being here in India, anybody who's been to Howrah's train station, you have seen the porters, they carry 5 suitcases on their heads there, right? So, when carrying a heavy weight, we can easily be thrown off center. You only have to push that porter a little bit and or the suitcases will fall. So this is the principle. The more weight, the more responsibilities we carry, the more easily we are thrown off balance. Yes. It's also something which we don't so easily remember. We often think the opposite. The longer I'm around, the more I'm, carrying, the stronger I am, yes, but the more, the less it takes to actually get off balance. That's the point. Yes. So, and it is of course, advisable to associate closely with those who carry a bigger weight, who carry more responsibility, and who are well-centered and balanced. Makes sense, to associate with those. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says a nice thing. He says, I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of the Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. Wow, that's a pretty strong quote, takes 200 gallons of blood to actually make a person into a pure devotee. And somebody has to donate that blood. You know? You can't expect that the Shiksha Guru donates it all. You know? Diksha Guru, sorry, the Diksha Guru, he will be anemic very quickly. You know? So obviously, it needs other senior devotees to be willing to shed their blood. Right? Yes, yes. And if we don't do it, our life is superficial, basically. You know, that's the clearness. Yeah, so, I mean, already going through these things very clearly establishes, hopefully, that the Bhakti Lata needs ongoing nourishment and care. Ongoingly. So, before we move on, asking for the characteristics of a sheltering relationship, what is actually a sheltering relationship? I simply want to see, are there any questions just about this now? There will be so much more coming. You know, often my answers are, we'll talk about it tomorrow, we'll talk a bit about it the day after tomorrow. So let's try and always keep the questions to the topic which we discussed. Yes?
When you're talking about in materialistic culture, we have this fierce independence, and that we don't like to take shelter.
Yes.
So we often see in materialistic culture, because everyone is very selfish and independent, and it's difficult to trust enough to take shelter, because you can't take shelter if you don't trust your shelter.
Very true.
So how do we develop that trust when we've grown up from early childhood to know that trust is it's not so easy to find a trustworthy shelter?
I dare say this becomes more clear on the day when we talk about the qualities we need to have in order to be able to give shelter. One actually has to be qualified. And once we are qualified, and we exhibit those qualities, then it is also easier for a person to develop trust. And we will see there are quite high requirements. I mean, where was it? No, it was in Germany, I think, we had the seminar. And quite a few devotees were saying, and I was really happy at that, at the sharing session, they were saying, now I know what I have to work for, what I have to strive for to develop. That I am actually meant to qualify myself to give shelter, and I've got the list here of things where I have to work on. Because very often this is what we face, that there's senior devotees there, they've been around for 20, 25 years, but they kind of, there's not really a clear target there, what they're meant to move forward to, and they're alright, they do some service, this, that, and they just live their life, but there's not really this endeavor to move forward. But once we are clear on this importance of giving shelter and which qualities we have to develop, then people all of a sudden they feel inspired. Yes, I should be moving forward to this, otherwise my life and my relationships are superficial. And I don't want to be superficial. So it gives a very concrete thing to move forward, and that also inspires trust. Not a cheap thing to develop trust. And actually at the very last session, Friday, we talk about also the importance of faith. This is actually one of the key aspects of devotee care, or bringing up devotees, training devotees, to nourish and protect a person's faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. Because it is so important. We'll talk about that on Friday a little bit. Yes?
You mentioned that a person needs to be more conscious before he can become Krishna conscious. What helps a person become more conscious?
Hearing.
Can you please repeat the question?
You're saying, I said that we have to become conscious before becoming Krishna conscious, and what helps a person to become conscious. And I'm saying hearing. It's always step number one. We have to hear about these topics. We have to hear. The hearing wakes us up. From our deep sleep and spiritual coma, we wake up. Hearing is always step number one. And then step number two is desiring to develop the respective qualities. But without hearing and becoming conscious about it, we will not desire. So hearing is always number one. That's why we discuss so many topics in different forms.
I had a question, but I think it was more or less answered, but I want to clear it out. If there are some people that they don't want to take shelter, or they cannot take shelter, if they will see that the environment is doing it, I think they will naturally get inspired to do it, even if they don't have the inability, then they will get attracted. Because if I understand, all our spiritual qualities are natural. We don't strive to have them, we actually are just, we awaken them. So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of walking. So no one has to teach a baby how to walk because the walking predisposition is already in the baby.
Yes, that is such a good analogy that Prabhupada is giving. Repeat it. She didn't hear it for the translation. What's the essence of your question? Whether a person who is not so eager to take shelter, how to bring him to that point, because in actuality it should be the natural quality of the soul. And Prabhupada was saying, giving the example with a child, it's a natural thing for a human being to walk, and it's not an artificial, like Prabhupada says, this chanting from Mahamantra is not an artificial imposition on the mind, on that type. Right? So the walking is not an artificial imposition here. But nevertheless, it has to be facilitated. See? I actually used to work as a physiotherapist for some time in a children's clinic with newborn babies and so I know if you tie up a child in the bed on the back, it will not learn how to walk. It has to be facilitated. Yes. It has to be facilitated. And we all have seen our children learn to walk around 1 year of age. They make some steps, boom, fall over, cry, mother picks them up, try again. So that's the process we have to go through. It's not just gonna happen all by itself. If children are always carried around and just sat here and sat there, then they don't learn how to walk. It has to be facilitated. That's the point. Otherwise the joints, the muscles, they will not develop accordingly. Okay. So, see, the point is, here's materialistic consciousness and way of behavior, relationships, and here's spiritual consciousness, spiritual way of behavior in relationships. We have to transform.
There has to be desire.
Yeah.
We have to,
Yes.
enlighten the desire.
Yes. So, and the desire is hopefully stimulated by hearing about it. Hopefully. Huh? If we don't hear about it, we might not even be aware and conscious. We don't even realize that our taking shelter of Guru is in name only, but within our hearts we completely maintain our independent attitude. Yes, I see it all the time. If you're a little perceptive and you look a little deeper, you recognize all these things.